What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and we're doing another anniversary. It's going to be a quick one because this movie means absolutely nothing to me. It was actually my first time watching it, and I have already listened to people who this movie actually means something to. This is Reality Bites. It's directed by Ben Stiller. Uh, Actually has kind of a cool cast. I'm just going to be honest. It's like Winona Ryder, Ethan Hawke, Janine Garofalo, Ben Stiller himself is in this. Steve Zahn. So kind of an interesting cast. I was not of the age for this to be my film. This is early '90s. In the early '90s, I was 11 when this one came out. I did not watch this movie. I didn't even watch it later on. Even when I was getting older, and there were people who were talking about film. Reality Bites wasn't even something I heard people talking about that much. That were like maybe slightly older than me. I would hear about like Mallrats and Empire Records. Uh, Reality Bites just totally flew under the radar, and I didn't know anybody that this meant anything to. But I always was aware of the film. Like I knew it existed. So when I saw it was on Netflix with audio description, I found that incredibly intriguing and as an opportunity to watch it. And in a little bit of research that I've done, this film means a lot to certain people. This film means nothing to me, in nostalgic wise, because this is my first time watching it. So this is just going to be a quick review of my thoughts on the film. I think it's great for the time period. I think it absolutely represents. There were things that, especially in the audio description, highlighted as they were going through. I was like, oh my God, the gap. Like I was just like, oh man, that took me back. There were some things that were so close to that I was around that even though I wasn't in the same age group as this cast and going through the same experiences as they were around this time, it's like, yes, I did shop at the Gap. I wore clothes from the Gap. So yeah, that felt very '90s to me. So this film did feel very of the period. There's a huge focus here on AIDS, and there was actually a line in here about how the actor that played uh, the Brady dad, he died of AIDS, and I didn't even know that. To be totally honest, I again, it's like not a Brady Bunch fan. I've seen a couple episodes. I never really gave much thought to what happened to the dad from the Brady Bunch. And he, even when, so I did some research, and the research led me to he was never out, and nobody's ever been able to like pair him with a partner. Like, at least what I read, nobody was ever like, well, he was seen with or rumored to be with. This dude flew totally under the radar, but he had another thing. He died of like one of the cancers. Uh, that sounds terrible, but and then they also, when he died, they also released that he was HIV positive. So obviously, there's been a lot of speculation into how he got that, coming out of a certain time period because it's early '90s and year after Tom Hanks's Philadelphia. So uh, we're they're still thinking about that, and so Ben Stiller writes this into the film. It's a little clunky for me. I felt like that didn't quite work as well for me. That factor of it, as well as it has from other people who have tried to tackle the subject matter before. I don't know that Ben Stiller was the right person for that subject matter, but or that this was the right cast for that subject matter. But the rest of it felt sort of nostalgically right for the time period, talking about like yuppies and uh, there's definitely a use of the R word. I'll just say the R word, and if you can't figure it out, then it doesn't offend you. But a lot of people are offended by, and this is used in the wrong way. Absolutely, the way that we don't use the word anymore. Um, so that struck me. I noticed that in the thing. I was like, oh, okay. Well, then, interesting. Uh, so move past that. I think the performances are okay. Um, I like the cast, but I just the film was okay to me. It just didn't like it didn't resonate with me, but I think this is a film that has to resonate. I think there are people who are incredibly nostalgic for this film. And I it just in a little bit of I was trying to get some backstory and listen to some other people talk about Reality Bites after I saw it because I was like, I feel like I don't know enough about like what happened when this film came out. And I listened to like a couple people talk about Reality Bites and they talk about it like it just changed their life. You know, like at the right moment, at the right time, they saw Reality Bites and they leveled up, you know? They went Super Saiyan. So I don't want to just come in here and say that I'm the foremost uh, founder of Reality Bites because for those people, if you were somebody who watches this and you were clicking on me and you were like, oh, he looks like somebody who'd be a fan of. I was not. I'm sorry. I missed this one, but I've seen it now. Um, I'm interested in. I love the cast. I'm interested in Ben Stiller as a director. Conceptually, I don't think it's a bad film, but it didn't pop for me. It didn't like spark, but I think it sparks people. So I just wanted to say it does have audio description and it is on Netflix, at least of my watching. I don't know when I'm going to put out this review. I'm banking reviews. I'm way ahead of reviews right now to put out later on. So yeah, uh, if you see it, know that there is an available audio description track for this film. I thought it was weird that there's a scene where they watch Good Times, but they had to rewrite the theme song to Good Times because that's not the theme song to Good Times. Anyway, that was funny. They're watching the thing and I'm like, what? Did you not get clearance for the then why are you even watching Good Times? Watch a different show. Like, pick a show you can get clearance for. You don't, there's nothing that legally binds you and says, no, people in 1994, the only show they were watching was Good Times. Like, no, there were other black sitcoms. Can you find one that that you can get clearance on instead of having to awkwardly re-record a different anyway, bizarre choice. Uh so this is what it is. So it was interesting and it was a nice trip down memory lane for the parts of the 90s that I remembered. Again, these people are ahead of me. This is a group in the early 90s that is graduating college. Winona Ryder's character was a valedictorian of her university at this point. I was in middle school. So we're not the same. this is not the same generation. So we're a generation apart. I couldn't fully relate to all of this, but I liked it because it was still 90s. It felt very 90s to me. So yeah, Reality Bites. I'm gonna give it a B. I think all around decent performances. It's fairly well directed from a young Ben Stiller before Ben Stiller fully popped. He's coming off of like the Ben Stiller show, and this is like a very promising cast. Everybody's done stuff before. Obviously, Winona Ryder's done plenty of stuff before. But yeah, everybody will continue to break out and do more, certainly. So, and some people go on to get Oscar nominations. Anyway, that was a blast. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Sorry I didn't offer more on Reality Bites if you came here thinking I was up front at the beginning. I said this is not going to be a deep dive in Reality Bites because I'm going to save that for the people who that film meant something to. This was just me watching it for the first time, and it did not have that nostalgic vibe at all. It didn't. The Gap was the most nostalgic thing for me about this film. But I'll see you guys on the other side.